Edina, $1 million doesn't go nearly as far as people think. And that's one thing the glossy online version never tells you. I've been helping buyers and sellers across the Twin Cities since 2019, so I really do know this market really well. Today, I'm breaking down what it's really like to live in Edina in 2026. Let's dive in. All right, let's start with the first thing most people think about, the price tag. You feel it the second you drive into Edina. The streets are quiet, the lawns are spotless, the whole place feels polished. But there's more behind those price tags than you might wonder. Start with the homes, because they're super well built. And what surprises people is how much variety you get. You've got 1950s and 60s Ramblers, split levels, brick Tudors, and Cape Cods in older neighborhoods like Morningside and Country Club east of Highway 100. You'll also see brand new luxury homes mixed right in, and that's because of Edina's teardown culture. People buy an older house for the lot in the school district, tear it down, and build something brand new. So if you see a modern home sitting between two mid-century houses, that's exactly what happened. So what does it cost? Well, you can still find homes in the high 600s to low 700s, but they'll usually be older, smaller, on a tighter lot, or need some more work. If you want something move-in ready in one of the more desirable neighborhoods, you're probably looking at $1 million or more. The luxury market has also stayed super strong here as well, with plenty of homes selling in the $1.5 to $2 million range and higher. So this isn't a market where buyers are finding bargains per se. Now, since nothing's perfect, there are a couple trade-offs. The first is property taxes. The effective rate runs around 1.3%, so at these price points, that's a real monthly expense you need to plan for. The other is space, since most of Edina's neighborhoods were built on smaller lots. You'll be closer to your neighbors, and shared driveways are pretty common, so you don't always get the privacy people expect at this price point. But hang on to that, because the lifestyle around these neighborhoods is what wins a lot of people over, and we'll get to that in a minute. Now, if your dream is a long driveway, a couple acres, and plenty of space between you and your neighbors, Edina probably isn't the right fit. And I'll be honest with you, if money wasn't a factor for me, I'd probably choose Medina. I'd take the extra land and the quieter setting anytime. If that sounds more like you, it's worth checking out. Okay, real quick before we keep going. If you're thinking about moving to Edina, the first step is knowing what your home is worth. Grab a free valuation with the link below or the QR code on your screen. And if you're relocating here, I'd love to help. So reach out today using the info in the description below. All right, let's keep going. So what makes families willing to pay more just to get an Edina address? For a lot of them, it has to do with the schools. Edina Public Schools have an A+ rating on niche.com, and they've consistently ranked right near the top in Minnesota. Now, to be fair, Wayzata does edge Edina out on some of those rankings. So if you're chasing the #1 spot, that's worth knowing. But Edina has something that's hard to measure, and that's the reputation. Even though Wayzata holds the #1 spot on niche.com, even locals here would be surprised to hear that, as it has that kind of strong #1 spot type of reputation all across the metro. If you're relocating from across the country, chances are you've already heard of Edina. That name carries weight, and it plays a big role in why so many families want to be here. And we'll talk about that reputation, including the nickname you've probably heard before, so stay tuned. Now, hockey is a big deal here in Minnesota. The Edina Hornets have one of the most decorated hockey programs in the state, and the youth system goes all the way up through high school. So if you've got a kid who's serious about hockey, Edina is one of the first places families look. That's a big reason the neighborhoods feel so family focused. People move here for the schools, the sports, and the community that comes with them. But there's another side to it, and I want to be upfront about that too. The academics are competitive, the sports are really competitive, and there's a lot of pressure to perform. For some families, that's exactly what they want, but for others, it can feel like a lot. But living in Edina isn't all about school and sports. On a Saturday morning at 50th and France, the patios are full. People are walking around with coffee, popping in and out of shops without ever getting back in their car. And that walkable feel is a big reason people love living here. The food scene is a big part of it as well. Red Cow is where everybody ends up for burgers, Coalition is a local favorite comfort food, and Mr. Paul's Supper Club brings a fun New Orleans vibe that really stands out. Also, Mothership Pizza is my wife and I's favorite pizza spot and also has probably one of the best espresso martinis in the metro. The location is another huge plus because you're only about 15 to 20 minutes from downtown Minneapolis, depending on traffic, about a 15-minute drive to the airport, and close to St. Paul, Bloomington, and St. Louis Park. So if you travel for work or have family flying in, you really appreciate how connected Edina is. Then you've got Southdale Center, and it's made a huge comeback. It opened in 1956 as the first fully enclosed mall in the country. And after a major renovation, it's now home to stores like Louis Vuitton, Tiffany & Co, and David Yurman, which surprises a lot of people moving here from out of state. But here's what you need to be careful of: traffic and parking. Around Southdale and 50th and France on a Friday or weekend afternoon, it gets really busy. There are ramps on Market Street and extra parking by Lund's, but I've circled the block more than once myself. So give yourself a few extra minutes. That's probably the biggest headache here because the rest is pretty easy to enjoy. But before you decide if Edina is right for you, there's one more thing you need to understand. There's a nickname locals have for people from Edina: cake eaters. It might seem funny, but it's not exactly meant as a compliment. It's been around for decades, and the idea is that people from Edina are wealthy and maybe a little full of themselves. That's the stereotype anyway. I'm not gonna pretend Edina isn't an affluent community. The home prices here make that pretty clear. But the people who live here are a lot more down to earth than the nickname suggests. They show up for community events, youth sports, and local programs, and there's a real sense of pride in the city. And this is where those smaller lots we talked about earlier become a good thing, because when your neighbors are that close and you're sharing driveways, you do really get to know people. Kids are running back and forth between houses, and it creates a real neighborhood feel that doesn't match the reputation at all. But if you're moving here from somewhere else, it can take a little time to find your place. A lot of these families have known each other for years, so the social circles are already quite established. People aren't unfriendly though. You just gotta get involved, show up to community events, get your kids into activities, and give it a little time. So the cake eater label is way more stereotype than reality. But that learning curve for newcomers can be real. All right, so this is Edina. If you're looking for a big yard and plenty of privacy, this probably isn't your place. But if you're looking for top-rated schools, a great hockey and sports community, and a lifestyle where you can walk to restaurants and shops, Edina absolutely lives up to the hype. If Edina's on your short list and you want to know if it fits your budget and your lifestyle, email me today. My team and I can put together a plan before you start touring homes. The well-priced homes here still move fast, so being prepared makes all the difference. And if those "everyone's leaving Minneapolis" headlines have you wondering about the Twin Cities, watch the next video here, because I break down why that story is really about 2 downtown condo zip codes while the suburbs are still seeing strong demand. Thanks so much for watching, and I will see you in the next one.